Hey sunshines, and welcome to week 10. If you can't tell from where I'm filming, things are going to be a little bit different this week. I think it's week 12 actually. Last week was supposed to be business. Welcome to my videos. My name is Lauren. I'm doing this year-long project of change, growth, whatever you want to call it. Basically, because my father passed away this year and trying to come to terms with it. We were estranged for a lot of that time, so there's a lot of stuff. I also know decluttering was a big thing he needed because he kept everything, but it was a mess. It was an absolute disaster, which my brother ended up taking care of because my father and I weren't really in contact. Thank you to him, but I never want to let my life get that way. I don't want to put that on my family and friends were anything to happen to me in a very future date. Business was my dad's thing. This week was supposed to be looking at ideas for starting my own business. I was reading an article about Bob Chepek. I was going to make a joke and say he who shall not be named, but whatever. He is if you don't know, the current CEO of Disney, and universally hated by every person who enjoys Disney, specifically the parks, certainly, but who previously enjoyed Disney. And I mean like universally hated. Hundreds of thousands of people have signed to get him fired like multiple times. Here's where the business stuff comes in. And I understand you want to say like, hey, he's the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Yep, that's true. That is absolutely true. However, Disney has nearly gone bankrupt and nearly been sold for parts more than once. The idea that Disney is too big to fail is BS. I mean, look at any of the top 100 businesses at the beginning of the 1900s. Most of them weren't even around in 2000, and of those, there are fewer around now. So this idea that like something is going to be so big it can't be taken down, it's just historically not true. As much as companies want to pretend it is, that has not been the case thus far. Chepek did an interview where he basically said, I'm paraphrasing here, fuck anybody who likes Disney or the Disney super fans. I can do whatever I want. Paraphrasing. Possibly. It remains to be seen. I mean, he just said it the other day, so, we'll see what happens. I'm going to throw something out there that it feels like he is forgotten from like basic business school, which I did actually go to a while ago, just to make it easy, the 80-20 rule, which is basically that 80% of your profits come from 20% of your clients, and 80% of your problems come from 20% of your clients. So obviously, you want to get the most money and the least problems, and try and find that key set of people. They're the people who, anytime you have something, they're going to buy it. They don't even really need to see it. They're just going to buy it. They're going to sign up. They're going to do whatever. They love you. They tell their friends about you. They buy stuff for their friends from you, all of it. Now, Disney specifically has a strong super fan community, loyal beyond probably most anybody. Disney's range, the range is pretty big because, well, for several reasons. One, they now own a lot of different entertainment properties, so obviously there's that. There's also an idea that they have been working on for, probably decades, which is kind of a cradle to grave thing, getting Disney kids who have a great time at the park as kids to have such a good time that they then want to bring their kids and do all of that kind of stuff. This has been going on for years. Now, the person in charge has basically said, F all those people. I don't care about them. I can get new people. And and all the benefits we had for those people who have been spending money all of this time, we're going to remove all of those benefits. We're going to raise all of the prices on them and everybody else. And we're going to make more money that way. It's already had a few hiccups. I believe they have made more money, but the amount of ill will they're garnering, I believe, is going to hit. And it seems like it might hit sooner rather than later. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't have a ton of faith at the moment in like where anything is going to go. So I'm not sure. I think for like the first 30 years of my life, I went to Disney at least once a year. And then it started getting more expensive. I started being like, I want to do some other things. I don't necessarily have as much time, blah, blah, blah. I got into cruising, which I have only done Disney cruises, to be honest. So I didn't necessarily go to the parks, but I did take some type of Disney vacation up until the pandemic. And then, I've pretty much been at home for the last couple of years. So all of that has been going, and I have been waiting to go back to Disney. I don't know if I'm going back now. I spoke with a couple of my friends who were not as big a fan as me, but who've basically said they will not go back to Disney under these conditions because it's just not worth it. The price is too high and the service is terrible. Yeah, the last time I went there, the service pretty much everywhere was, you never even would have seen it when I was a kid. Like, none of the people who were cast members would have even been hired. Well, not none of them, obviously, but a lot of them wouldn't have even been hired. They were grumpy and, argumentative and whatever. There is always a limit to what people are willing to take. I feel like business-wise, Disney might have hit it. And it's so funny because I think of going back to this whole project, my dad, and there are times like he was good at business. One of the things I think my father did pretty well was he really took care of star clients. So people who came back year after year for events, who ordered on a weekly basis, he was catering if you're new here, all of those type of things. And he really took care of his best clients. He really cared that the people who gave us business got something in return. And he tried to go above and beyond for all of them. I really liked that. And in all honesty, I learned that interning for Disney. So to see them change this much is baffling to me. I don't think Bob Chepek or Iger would have actually graduated from, it was called Traditions when I went through it, from Traditions were they to try to go through it. Like, they wouldn't have been able to do it because their emphasis on service and the guest experience is terrible. I'm going to be honest. I thought Iger was bad pretty much from the beginning. I think there's a pretty straight line down from when he took over for Michael Eisner. I saw it almost immediately with staff not being trained as well, places not being clean. I was at the boardwalk and there were like dust bunnies all along the floor, which I didn't take a picture of, and I wish I had, because even in my memory, I'm like, you have to be wrong. It was the boardwalk, but it was the boardwalk. I was there. There were dust bunnies. Iger, I think, went downhill. Chepek fell off a cliff. when he was announced, I was like, oh my God, thank God Iger's gone. It has to get better, which proves you really can't say that. So if anybody decides they want to blame me for Disney getting worse, I get it. I did say it had to get better. So, my bad on that one. I'm sorry. All joking aside, I'm really curious. I am curious to see what happens. There's something that I think we, the people, any people, not just American people, all people, kind of need to be reminded of. And that's, we do have power. If you don't buy from Disney, they're going to lose money and they're going to make changes. If they're making money, they don't have to listen to you and they don't care. I would like to think some CEOs care, but I'm guessing that is a very small percentage. What they do care about is when they're not making money. So if suddenly they stop making money because people say, yeah, I'm not paying for that, there is some evidence within Disney itself that it works because they jacked the prices on, thank you, DFB Guide. By the way, they have a channel. I'll link it below. They're fantastic. They have a great newsletter and they have a great YouTube channel. So check them out. They're really good. They were talking about when all these prices raised, and it was something like, it was in the thousands. They increased like just an absurd number of prices. Some of those prices I'm sure have stayed, but not even a couple months later, they dropped the prices of thousands of items because they stopped selling. So it is possible to make some type of difference, but you have to be willing to forgo maybe something you kind of want to do. Now, I truly, truly loved, I was so happy to get to intern there. It was amazing. And to watch it kind of disintegrate is heartbreaking. I thought this might be something that other people would find interesting as far as business goes and as far as Disney goes, maybe introduce a few people to the channel. So if you are one of those people and you made it this far, thank you so much. And I will do my best to continue creating content that some people want to watch. But if you would consider liking and subscribing and all of that stuff, I would greatly appreciate it. Sunshine is sleeping right next to me. What am I loving this week? This week that I actually mostly did decluttering, I'm kind of loving the walk down memory lane. Decluttering can be difficult, letting things go. There are things that I bought that I thought I was going to love that basically never got used or got used once or whatever. There are things that I basically completely used up that it was just time to say goodbye. They weren't, working really well anymore. I think it's something that we all need to look at occasionally, which is if something once worked for us, it doesn't mean it will forever. Sometimes you have to be willing to let those things go, or they can drag you down. And I still get to have all of my amazing memories from Disney, from when I was a kid, from when I went with my dad, from when I went with my mom, my brother, like everybody, friends. I don't like what's happening now, but that doesn't diminish then. I had then, I have souvenirs from then, and, I get to keep those and I get to look at them and I get to remember what it was like. And things change, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse, and sometimes you just have to be okay with it. And sometimes you have to say, I'm putting my foot down and you are no longer treating me right. I don't like feeling used. I feel like Disney is using its customers no longer treating them like guests. I think it's a problem. I think if you want it to change, you're going to have to do something to change it. Thank you so much. I will see you next week. Here is a little sunshine serotonin, and I hope you live, laugh, and shine.